Welcome to the Japji Sahib Podcast. In this episode, we'll be going through the 35th stanza that Guru Nanak has blessed us with. The stanza is called Giaan Khand. The word Giaan meaning knowledge. And I'm sure we've all found ourselves getting lost in chasing knowledge. But this knowledge is a different kind or sort of knowledge that we're going to talk about and discuss today. So let's get straight into it. First of all, introducing our guest, Amarpreet Singh. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. So the first thing that Guru Nanak starts with is saying Dharam Khand Ka Eho Dharam. So that's actually referring to the previous Pauri, the previous stanza. Guru Nanak is saying that everything that we've just gone through in the previous stanza, Dharam Khand Ka Eho Dharam, this is the way and this is how it all works as per our wisdom that has been shared. But before we move on, because it will be useful for us to form some form of understanding or base where Guru Sahib is now splitting up these khands, and the word khand literally means piece, but piece like a little piece of something, like a tota, no? But then khand is referring here to a piece of land. You know how you got like the tarti and then the land, and then it gets split up and then you have a piece of land. So you know how you can travel to different places, you can travel to different lands. Maybe you can think of something where you've traveled to recently, anywhere you've been in the world. Been to any holidays?
Yeah, I've been to Santorini. It's a Greek island. So.
Oh wow, kalla kalla.
And then I went with my wife.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Kalle kalle. You didn't take us. Anyway, so you went to literally like a little piece of land, and in that same way, we travel to different places, but internally, and we go through different stages in our life, and these aren't necessarily all linear. So when a lot of people look at this, they'll think of it in a linear fashion, meaning in one sense it is linear, and I'll explain how. And in another sense, when people think of linear, so they think of our age. For example, if somebody lives up to the age of 70, and so they'll think that you go through these different stages of life which are internal, and it might be that if up to 20 you might be going through the first stage, it's just Dharam Khand, and then in the next up to 20 to 40 you might be going through Giaan Khand. But that's not how these work. These work in a way that throughout the day we might go through this process of where we go through Dharam Khand, we jump into Giaan Khand, and then from Giaan Khand we jump into Saram Khand, and from Saram Khand we then experience Karam Khand, and then Sach Khand. So it could be that, and then there's some days, it might be times where it happens over a few days, and then we find ourselves in Sach Khand, meaning where we're feeling, I don't want to use the wrong words here, be careful with my words and not use the word feeling, but when you're in a place of truth and stillness, you might be there for a while, but then you fall out of it again, and then you go through the process again. So that could happen multiple times a day. That might happen, the process might happen over a few days, a few weeks. So we're going through this cycle or process continuously throughout our life, but it will always happen in this sequence: the Saram, and then the Karam, then the Sach. And I know that's a lot of words that have been thrown around there, and listeners might be thinking, well, what do those words mean? So if we give an overall process right now of all five of how they work, it will help us. So when Guru is saying to us Dharam Khand. I've just explained to you about Dharam Khand. A very simple way of looking at Dharam Khand is there's a natural flow of how everything works. And there's certain things when, imagine you're walking on a smooth path in life and it's well tarmacked, everything's all good. You know, you're walking on that and it's all good to your feet and you're just flowing and you're just floating and you're walking down that path. You don't realize, but you start to veer off that path. Because often we veer off the path unknowingly in an unconscious state. Most of us don't do it to ourselves consciously. So we start veering off the path and then you realize after a while, it's not so smooth anymore. And you think, ooh, you know, something's, what's this? And you think, oh, is it thorns? You think, where did these come from? You're looking at your feet are ripped, you've got thorns, and now you're in pain. So you're holding your feet and you're thinking, and then imagine if you start thinking, why are you punishing me like this, Waheguru? Waheguru's thinking, what? I'm punishing you. Just veered off that beautiful smooth path that you were on. Like, what does, and then Rab's thinking, like, what does punishment mean? Yeah. And it's just get back on the path. You're thinking, nah, this is sad. This is so unjust. Yeah. Why is God doing this to me? God's thinking, just come back for God's sake. Yeah. I am not doing anything to you. Yeah. And that is then called Dharam. You've just gone outside of Dharam, the natural smooth path, and you've just veered off. And over there, they're just thorns. But the thorns are quite helpful. The thorns are saying, this isn't going to work out too well. Yeah. And this could be quite painful. So then Guru Sahib explains that Sakt har sad na janiya. Sakt is somebody that has broke away from that smooth path, and lost their way of that intuition and prem, the path of prem. You know, when Guru Sahib says that Jo to prem khelan ka chao, that if you want to play the game of love, and this game of love is that path beyond ego, and this path where it's actually a very smooth path, because there's no suffering in prem, in love. So then, if we then go back, Sakt har sad na janiya, but a Sakt forgets the taste, the true beauty of being on that path of love. And then antar home kanda hai. What's happened is that the ego mind, which is seeking different pleasures, and you get into a mindset of duality and competition. Yeah, you see others and you don't feel so happy for where they are, and you think, right? And you're not happy for them. So that is then antar home kanda hai. So this is now, you've gone off the path of Dharam. You've gone into Dharam. And Dharam is then painful. That is the kanda here now, the thorn of that egotism growing. And then Maharaj says, Jonjo challe, chubba, dukh pave. And it starts to grow inside of you. And then this ego state takes different forms, and it has different symptoms that it shows up in. One of those symptoms that come to my mind that when we get into Dharam is, for example, Maharaj calls it this burning. And this burning, Maharaj says to it that jis andar taat parai hove, tista kade na hovi pala. You're now walking on thorns, but you're expecting this to receive bala, to receive good, to receive amrit. But Maharaj says, that's a bit funny. Bije bek mange amrit. Yeah. See, the thing is, it's hard for you probably to relate to this because you just got such an innocent face. Just can't imagine you ever planting poison in your life. Can you think of where you potentially have? You don't have the face for it, but you never know. Just
No.
yeah, I've planted a little bit. Yeah, and then ever been shocked after planting some poison and thinking, why am I suffering? Why is my life just falling apart? And you're shocked. Thinking, ye ki hoya? Maybe you know some people like that then.
Yeah.
You're gonna name someone. How many people came to your mind?
A few.
Literally, we're talking about understanding Dharam Khand here. And so Dharam Khand is like you're in that flow and then you've lost that flow. Now you're on the thorns. And then just under taat parai hove. You know, I translated it in one of the ones in one of the talks, what the word taat and how it's translated to jealousy. So do you remember the connection, how taat and why is taat jealousy?
No.
So taat comes from the word tapash, relating to your trade then. So in Punjabi, you know, when somebody's got bakar, which is a fever, and then, you know, say, tapada yar. Have you heard that saying, Khana?
Yeah.
So tapada is when somebody's burning. And then that could be when somebody's got an actual fever. Or we also use that in the context of when somebody's burning in jealousy. And you say, tapada ya. Right? That's why Faridji says, Dekh parai chopadi, na tarsai jio. And this is when you look at somebody else that has theirs buttered, don't apne aap nu tarsao na. You don't make yourself suffer tars in having that jealousy because they've got buttered roti. And because that day, and the reason why it's important not to get into that habit is because it doesn't matter what you achieve in life, you will carry that habit with you. So no matter now where you get to in life, you will continue that habit of looking at, but we haven't got that. We haven't got that. And they have. And that's tapash, that's taat parai. Parai means for others, having that burning for others, not being happy for what they've got and thinking, why haven't we got it?
And sometimes we may chase that as well, thinking that that next thing we might get is going to get us the happiness that we need, where the happiness is actually right now.
And that is the Dharam. This is what is important to understand what Dharam Khand is talking about, is us understanding the natural laws of life. There are some things that will make us suffer. And one of them is, for example, jealousy. And I often think about Baba Priti Chand, Guru Arjan Dev Ji's eldest son, Guru Ram Das Ji's eldest son, Guru Arjan Dev Ji's elder brother. And the extent, and then we think that, and when we hold these things, our life then, our destiny is then carved based on that energy. He held that so tightly, onto that so tightly, his whole life was carved out of that energy then. His whole destiny came from that energy of jealousy for his brother. Why did my brother receive the Guruship? Why did Guru Arjan Dev Ji get the Guruship? It should have been me because of my age, because of the responsibility that I had. So that would be when you veered off. So Dharam literally means there's a natural flow to life, which will keep you out of suffering, out of it. But there's certain things when you fall off that will cause you suffering because now you're in Dharam. You've broken away from the natural flow of life. Yeah. So that's basically Dharam Khand. It's a smooth path, not easy path. It's smooth. Just in the way Maharaj says, Chatarai Sianapa Kete Kaam na aiye. So the Chatarai, so the cleverness is thinking that's where happiness is. If I get jealous, that will give me fuel to go on, do this and get this in my life. So the trickery of the mind is telling you that the path of thorns is what's going to get me the happiness, right? But was you going to say something?
I was going to say that, sometimes with this path, it can be a fine line. So we hear like, Khane hote ki walo niki et marg jana, that we may see that pathway where someone might be experiencing jealousy and looking at other people and seeing what they might have. But sometimes it's not so about looking at what other people have and having that as like a goal. But then it's about looking at it from a place of not from jealousy, but seeing it as like this is what I might strive to be, but not comparing yourself to them. And that's what I think with this path, it can be quite a difficult one to walk in that sense. But like you mentioned, it is a smooth path, and sometimes we veer off that path, but it's about coming back onto it. And even sometimes we might need somebody's help as well to get back onto that path.
That's a really good point. Yeah, I think that's so important to remember, that we will often require the support of people to help us back on that path. And I think that's a really important topic in of itself, is, how you said about looking at others to give you the strength to have certain goals in your life. And again, how thin is that path? The moment your mind says to you, I need to achieve those goals to experience a deeper sense of happiness, you've fallen off again. Yeah. Because it's again, the why should be clear on why those goals need to be achieved. But if you're still waiting, you've still lost it. So it's about being clear on the goals. I've got the goal set, but still I'm going to live right now in which place? Deho naam santokhiya. Utre man ki bhukh, where I live in a state of naam, in a state of appreciation and praise of Vaheguru right now in this moment. That's the only thing that's going to take away the true inner hunger. Not achieving the goals, but have the goals and separate that expectation to give you that internally. Problem.
And somebody on the other side might actually look at us going for these goals and think that, might not understand what place we're doing it from. And I think it's important to sit internally with yourself and know your intentions of why you're doing something as well.
So the Dharam Khand. So this is now you start becoming a bit more conscious with the support of other enlightened people, and the Guru's wisdom, the Guru's Baani, into what's going to keep us on Dharam Khand. And then when you start to live in that way, then you naturally will then start to go into Giaan Khand. And Giaan Khand is this spiritual knowing, when your eyes start to open to the vastness of Vaheguru's creation and the how limitless that one is. But we're going to get into that, so I'm not going to, that's going to be obviously our episode today. But then that humbles you when you start to think, man, I thought I'm so big. My little ego thought of me, of being so big, or get so stuck in these little things. But you are just, wow, I feel like a bit of an idiot to the things that I gave importance to, and how big of a person I thought. I was so inflated in my ego. So Giaan Khand then is your eyes opening to the vastness and the wowness. And then you start to feel a bit of Saram Khand. Saram comes from the word lajja. Saram means sharam, shame. but in a positive way, shame of humility. So it's almost like, so I'll act it out. And I know some of you will just be listening to this episode. Those of you that are watching it, it's almost like, so Dharam Khand is where you start to become more conscious and you're more aware what things cause you the suffering. Giaan Khand is almost like you're in this state of going, yo, wow. And then from Giaan Khand, you're in so much awe and you start thinking how much you was stuck in your ego before and inflated in your head. So that makes you, the things that you got caught up in that you blew up out of proportion so much before. And then you start to think and you start to drop like this and you go like, whoa. And that's the Sharam, that's the Saram Khand. Now you've reached, remember we said the Khands are places. Internally now you've reached that place of humility. So you've dropped. But as you drop, what that does is that creates a bowl. Yeah. So as you've dropped and you're just going like this, you've created a bowl. And in that bowl from Saram now, what you've done is you've just formed a space, an opportunity now, or a doorway now for grace, which is Karam. Karam means kirpa, grace. Karam there is not from the Sanskrit word action. From here, Karam is from the Arabic and Farsi language, which is referring to here as kirpa, bakshish. From Saram now flows in the bakshish, the grace. Only through kirpa, not through your ego, can you then experience such. So you travel through these khands in that sequence. And such is where you are now, you become that witness, where you are in the absolute stillness and the formless, where there is no beginning, there is no end, there is no sorg, there is no sorrow. It's just pure Anand. And from that place, you get to see the entire creation. You see everything as a play from that place. Nothing touches you now. Now in that place, Brahm Gyani Sada Nirlep. Jaise Jal mein Kamal Alep. You're like that lotus flower now where nothing touches you now. And you're just watching the play. You're watching your own body. You're watching your own mind. You see everything as like these characters now. So that's the sequence. Nice and simple. So just on that note, I'm not sure if you've heard it like that before.
Yeah, so I think I've kind of experienced it or looked at it in that sense of it being a sequence, but I always got stuck at Dharam Khand, and I think that's cleared it up a lot for me now, what I thought it was, because I was thinking it was actions.
Some scholars have translated it to actions. Not many. I can think of one at least that has, but generally the more general understanding of it is Dharam Khand, which makes way more sense if you look at the sequence of Gurbani as well. So like Gurbani says that the only way to get there is through Gur Prasad, is through Prasad, is through grace. Giaan Khand ka Aakhu Karam. So now Guru Nanak is saying, so some of what we'll do is we'll actually just read out the translations we've done so we can showcase that as well to the Sangat, that these are our translations that they are seeing on the screen. So now Guru Nanak is basically said, now I speak of the workings of the realm. So we've translated the Khand to realm here. Hopefully that captures what we've just explained of divine knowing. And we very consciously used the word here, divine knowing, for Gyan, because it's something that you come to realize. So we felt that the word knowing best captures, with adding this, the word divine to it, to your spiritual insights to life. So then let's get into it now. So Kete, Pavan, Paani, Baisantar, Kete, Mahes. There's something that's very tempting to do when we look at this body, and which is the opposite of what Guru Nanak is doing in this body. Many people will fall into this trap, and if we look at some translations, that has happened as well. but I'm sure we can relate to this happening to us. So there's a lot of information available in today's age. And instead of our life being about experiencing or getting to that knowing of our soul and life, what we keep doing is we keep reading about it. And we never quite get there because there's no self-inquiry, there's no deep dive going in and going through that process. So I don't know if you can relate to that trap. Sometimes when you just get into a trap of, I need to know more or learn more or read more or this. I've definitely experienced that in my life. I'm not sure if you can relate to that at all.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think sometimes I've thought that if I read more and I get more knowledge, then it'll put me in a better place, or I'll know a bit more. But I think a lot of it can come down to experience more so, just like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. And just to simply understand that, because I don't want this just to be like fancy words, let's just put that into context where make it more real. Sometimes we'll have people that have a lot of book knowledge. Guru Sahib call it Chunch Gyan. I can't remember the Pankti. I do need to memorize that line. But yeah, Guru Sahib refers to it as Chunch Gyan. And Chunch is basically what they're referring to is just a very upper level, just. So there's people that, and basically when you've just memorized a lot. Yeah. So look, here's the Pankti. Jag kawa mukh chunch gyan. And where the Guru talks about where it's, when you can just talk the talk. Yeah. And what is that? You've just got a lot of things memorized. But you might sit with that person that has so many things memorized, that have got knowledge, they can talk to you about anything. You speak about that topic, they'll talk to you about that topic and whatever it is, and they've got so many things memorized. And a lot of people value that and are in awe of those people, but they might be missing the essence. They might not necessarily, and they can have both, but Guru Nanak speaks about being amongst those whose hearts were filled with prem. That's why Guru Nanak said, that's not what I'm looking for. And that's what even, and when you have all of that knowledge, a lot of those people can often fall into that, again, that rabbit hole of debating people, having to win over people, showing that I know more, that and making other people feel stupid. Kabir said, this is not my path. Vidya na pado, baad nahi jano, har gun, kathat, sunat, baurano. He said, look, I don't read for that sake. Just for the sake of debating people. Yeah. Har gun, kathat, sunat, baurano. He said that for me, this path is just about singing and talking about Vaheguru's gun, Vaheguru's qualities, and appreciating Vaheguru. And this is my madness, Kabir says. That's why Guru Nanak also says that we sang a few days ago. Guru Nanak says, Tera sadara suni jai pai, je ko beh alaye. That I just want somebody to sit with me and just sing to me of Vaheguru's praises. And then, Guru Nanak also says to us that Nicha andar neech jaat, Nichi hu at neech Nanak tin ke sang saath. Vaddiyan seyo kyaris. Guru Nanak says, Nicha andar neech jaat. I want to be amongst those that are the lowest of the lowest. But they're talking about people that have humility. That's the biggest thing we could ever, like if we want to learn anything, I want to learn that. But I don't want to get into that because that's the next body. And so basically, this is what this body is about. We can end up doing the opposite in falling into this trap of knowledge. And this body is about when people, Guru Nanak says, get stuck on very specific things and start to worship a very specific part of Vaheguru's vastness. So they say there are some people that might start just worshipping and start looking at just an isolated part of Vaheguru, which might be air. Guru Nanak saying, don't get stuck. Vaheguru's so vast. Open up your mind. Don't get so egoistic and saying, yes, like it's the air that's everything. Maharaj saying, Kete, Pavan. Maharaj saying there are many forms of air. And the trap here would be to do what? Trying to figure out what are those different forms of air. Yeah, and this is what people have done. So they're like, this is what Maharaj means. They mean like air can be in this form, in this form, in this form. Or then people are saying there could be so many different forms of air because of all the different planets and the worlds and the universes, which is true. We're not saying that's not true, because there could be like a different form of air on a different planet somewhere. Yeah. And even here on this earth. And then people try and start studying that and get stuck in that. Kete, Pavan. And they think that this is about Maharaj bringing that to light to us to say, yeah, have a look how many different forms of air there are. Maharaj is actually doing the opposite. Saying, don't get stuck in these things. Yeah. And start getting egoistic like that. Air is everything. This is Kete, Pavan. Paani. There's so many forms of water. Again, people then get into that, like, that with the temperature, it can become ice, or it could become steam and this and that, and there might be a different form of water on somewhere else. Like Maharaj is saying, no, look, this is actually Bhagati now. Maharaj is breaking all of that for us and saying, stop getting stuck on isolated things and growing your ego based on that. Instead, just be in this state of madness of saying, Kete, Pavan. Paani, Vaisantar. Vaisantar means fire. This is actually being in awe of Vaheguru's vastness and saying, I don't know. I don't even know how many forms there are, or how, like, you're in a state of just like when you're just swinging around on this chair, you're looking up in the air, you're just like, whoa, Kete, Pavan, Paani, Vaisantar. That, if you're able to go into that state, will give you more than anything you are looking for. Like, that's what we're trying to get to, is that state of just, wow, Kete, Pavan, Paani, Vaisantar, Kete, Khan Mehes. Maharaj saying you're stuck on one Krishan. Khan means Krishan. Maharaj is saying, don't get stuck on that one physical Krishan that came in that flesh and just think that was everything. That was it. That was everything. And now your mind's just stuck in that. Yeah, Maharaj is saying, break that shackle. Yeah, there's many Krishnas, and that could be, I don't know, there could be mirror universes where there's another Krishna that existed somewhere at the same time. Like, we don't know. And that's not what it's about. Somebody will get stuck into, that's what Maharaj means. Yes, there's mirror universes where there's another Krishna flying around somewhere. He didn't fly, but I'm just saying, And Maharaj saying, look, this is Krishna varge hor bhi hune that have come. Don't get stuck on that one Krishna. Kete Khan Mehes. Mehes means Shivas. Many don't just get stuck on that one element of Parmeshwar's vastness and creation. Just be in awe. So many Shivas. Yeah. And basically this whole body is not about trying to figure out each thing that Maharaji words. So this is, like when you sit here and you're just gone into this madness of awe and you're just listing things, whatever are coming to you. Maharaj isn't trying to be specific here. I really want to talk to you about Krishna. Yeah. Like, it's not about Krishna here. It's not about Shiv here. What would be stupid now is if we just started going into the details of Krishna and details of what Shiv was about. Like, this is the opposite to that. Yeah. And at the end of Japji, we should feel light, like, wow, Beyante, tu beyante, tu beyante. You're limitless, you're limitless, you're limitless. And that's what we all need for our well-being. I'm saying that and reminding myself that. Like, maybe I just think my pastor janna yaar. Kete Maharaj saying, there's nothing, just tu bas wah kar. Kete Barme, Ghaarat Ghareeai. Maharaj saying there's people just worshipping this entity called Brahma, who apparently made the world, and then you got your blinkers on and you start isolating your vision into one little entity. Maharaj saying, Kete Barme. Like, just, no man, there's just many Brahmas that are Ghaarat. The Ghaarat means when you carve something. And when you get a chisel, and imagine like you got a stone and then you start to carve away to make something out of that stone. And then Ghaarat Ghareeai, saying, no, there's Brahma in everything. There's that creativity within everything. The intelligence of Vaheguru has that in it contained, that is chiseling things all the time, that the intelligence is paying attention to everything. You know how you have creatures, you have certain fishes and different things within the sea as well, and some of them you'll see that they've camouflaged, they've become just like their environment, and you can't even tell the difference between them. And that's the intelligence, that's that creativity within that intelligence playing its role over hundreds and hundreds of years. And then you get these different creatures that didn't exist before, now that are camouflaged with its environment. That's the Ghaarat Ghareeai. It's just carving everything constantly. Maharaj saying, look at this vastness. Roop rang ke ves, dressed, because ves means dress. So roop means form, rang means color, but dressed in different forms and colors. No, it's everywhere. It's just break, don't get stuck. Maharaj is saying, just looking and worshipping one element of this vastness. Just be in awe of it all. Don't try and figure it out. Just look around and just like, whoa. So an example that I read that I thought was just really touched my heart was to understand this is, so where, say, if a child starts asking you questions, and if a child sees a butterfly, and a child sees that this butterfly has so many different colors on it's just one little wing, and the child is looking at it and going, whoa. And then the child turns around and says to its father or whoever, and says, why has that butterfly got so many colors? And then the dad's trying to figure it out, or whoever the person is trying to figure it all out and saying, so the reason for all these colors, and the child's asking the next question, why is the wing so delicate? And the dad said, wait there, you just asked why there's so many colors. And even though the dad's probably feeling relieved because thinking, I didn't really know answer anyway, bloody hell, and but you did just ask a question. Shall we sort that out first? And the child's thinking, what you on about? I didn't ask you a question. I was just blown away. And I said, and I expressed my awe in a question form. I'm asking the question, but I'm not seeking an answer. The question is everything. The question is the complete job. The question is the awe. And literally, if we can just capture this life is, the human has got this opportunity to be like that child and just go, whoa, that's life. Like, that is it. People say, what's the purpose to life? Guru Nanak will tell you to be in Va is the purpose to life. Some people stop following me because I keep saying this. Like, literally stop attending the contemplation sessions. But read Baani and that's what everything will come back to. Guru Nanak gave us that Gurmantar. Vaheguru, but it's almost like we say the word to get to it. We're not necessarily there. And all of Gurbani is saying, see if you can get to Va, because that is it. That is the purpose of life. If you think it's anything else, you've lost it. And we're thinking, it's too simple. And Maharaj will keep coming back to, that's it. That's what it is. Like our Guru Mantra is that. Why would he give us that Guru Mantra otherwise? This is what this is. So if I'm there now, Guru Nanak's not trying to explain to you or asking a question. Like, oh, how is there so many Brahmas? Guru Nanak saying, just be blown away. Kete, Barme, Ghaarat, Ketia, Roop, Rang ke Ves. And this is how we should read this to so capture that feeling. And then it's like, Ketia, Karam, Bhoomee, Mer, Kete, Kete, Tu, Upadesh. So this is Guru Nanak again saying, you're stuck on like that. There's this Karma Bhoomee where the laws of karma apply. And this is the most important place out of the whole creation, because this is where the laws of karma apply, and it's all about planet Earth or this place. Guru Nanak saying, what are you on about? Just chill. Like, how do you know it could be somewhere else as well? It could be in many other places. Don't get so stuck on just this now. Ketia Karma Bhoomee. There could be just God knows how many. And then Mer Kete. Then you're saying there's this mountain called Samer Parbat. Sometimes it's called Samer, sometimes it's called Meru. It's got different names, and it's a specific mountain in I think it's in India. Huh? We did look at it up last week. And then, well, again, it's irrelevant where it is, because again, people have, when they're translating this, they've tried to again focus and isolate and saying India is a special place. That's the true Karma Bhoomee. I was like, no, you've missed it again. That's the opposite of what Maharaj is doing to you here. Mer Kete, people saying it's all about this mountain. This is the most sacred mountain, and this is what we must focus on and worship. And Maharaj is saying just this. There are many of these mountains that one has created. Yeah, don't get stuck on this one. Just be in awe of the whole vastness. Kete tu Upadesh. Tu is referring to Bhagat Dhruji. Upadesh is referring to the one that came and gave Upadesh to Bhagat Dhruji, who was called Narada Muni. Narada Muni is said to be the son of Brahma. Again, don't think that Brahma is a specific character, but Brahma represents generally knowledge. Somebody that has all the knowledge, the son of knowledge, which is called the Narada Muni, that came and gave guidance to Bhagat Dhruji of how to meditate. And Guruji saying, Kete, don't get stuck on that one Narada Muni. They turn up in so many ways. People that come and give guidance, don't get stuck on one. Don't get stuck on Krishna. Don't get stuck on Shiva. Don't get stuck on Brahma. Don't get stuck on these entities. There's plenty. Is that it? Vaheguru can only make one of them. No, Vaheguru's made so many Narada Munis, people that show up to you in your life and give you that guidance and show you the path and show you how to do something and break those shackles for you. Maharaj says, countless are the Krishnas that show people the way. Countless are the Narada Munis that show you the way. So this, just soak it in. This is our meditation now. Kete in the Chand, Soor, Kete Mandal Des. And Guru Sahib Ji, again, just naming all these one identities that people get stuck in worshipping. Ind is referring to the Indra that is said to be the rain god, or that is said to be the king of all the demigods, the Devate. again, Guru Sahib saying there's plenty of them. Don't just chill, man. Don't get stuck in just him. Just be in awe of Vaheguru's vastness. And I keep saying that because this is how we're Simran. This is what we got to take from this. So when we read this body, this is what should be going on in our head. Should be like, wow, yes, there's so many Indras, there's so many Soor, Kete, and then here again, referring to Maharaj is talking to the moons and the suns, the Chand, the moon, the suns. There's so many suns and moons. Which one are you gonna worship? Yeah, like there's so many that are giving light to so many places, that are giving energy to so many other places. Yeah. Kete mandal des. Mandal means something that is circular, round. So that could be this planet, could be other planets, that could be the solar system, whatever you want it to be. That's irrelevant. Again, don't get stuck in those little details. Des, lands, so many. Maharaj is saying just sit there and go, whoa. That's it. That'd be a good meme. Kete, Sidh, Budh, Naath, Kete. Can you see how tempting it could be to start focusing on each of these characters? It's the opposite of what Maharaj wants us to do. Like somebody who's saying, why don't you do katha of Sidh, of Budh, of this, of that? Maharaj is saying like, no. That's what I'm telling you not to do here. That's not this. Kete, Sidh, Budh, Naath, Kete. Great people like Budh here, referring to Gautama Buddha, that the first ever one that was known to be called Buddha. Buddha actually means somebody that's enlightened, that has gone beyond just their buddhi, their intellectual understanding of something. Somebody that's become enlightened. So that's what they're referring to here. But the first one, Gautama, they're saying there's so many Gautamas that turn up, that are here, that have come, and that are amongst us today. Sidh means the Siddhas, that have all of these, that have gained all these spiritual, miraculous powers. Naath, the yogic masters. Kete Devi Ves, the goddesses, whether it be the wife of Shivaji, Parvati. It's not about those individuals here. Maharaj saying that these Vaheguru's made plenty of them. There's just so many of them. Kete Dev, Daanav, Mun, Kete, Ratan, Samund. And here Maharaj is talking about the Dev, the Devate, the demigods, the Daanavas, the demons, the Mun, the silent sages. And then Kete, Ratan, Samund, the oceans where jewels are found. Maharaj saying there's so much that Vaheguru has made. Ketia, Khaani, Ketia, Baani, Kete, Paat, and Narind. Maharaj said you can study the different types of Khaani. Khaani means how life is created, how life comes about, the different ways, whether it be through the womb, through an egg, all the different ways of how life comes to be. Maharaj says there's many ways Vaheguru has made that to happen. Don't just get stuck and start worshipping one specific way of how it happens. So many ways that it's happening everywhere. It's not just your little planet Earth that exists. Yeah. Ketia, Baani, so many different ways and forms of communication. Language. We start to think that's a divine language. People say Sanskrit is the Dev Pasha, the most divine language that ever exists. Some people will say it's Arabic. Some people will say something else. But there's animals that are communicating in their own way. There's so many different things that have got their own Baani, their own word and sound of communication that they are using. Maharaj is saying there's so many that Vaheguru has intelligence has given birth to. Kete, Paat, Narind. There are so many Paat, kings. Narind comes from the word Nar. Nar means people. Ind means king. that rulers of people, yeah, there's so many that have come and Waheguru has created. Ketiya Surti, Sevak, Kete. Maharaj saying there's so many different practices, specific types of practices of focused meditation. Don't just get stuck on thinking there's only one way to meditate. Surti takaun vaste kinne tarique ne Maharaj kende. There's so many ways of focusing your surti. Sevak, so many sevaks. Don't think there's just ever been one or two people that have been absolutely selfless in their life. Waheguru's created countless. And this is the crux. This is Nanak, Ant, Na Ant. There is literally Guru Nanak saying the one's limit has no limit. There is just sit there and just go, wow. So if next time somebody asks you what's the purpose of life, sit there and go, wow. They're like, what? Like, are you saying wow to my question? No. Like, that's the purpose of life, is Va. Like, that is it. To experience Va is the purpose of life. It's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I just feel so fortunate that we've stumbled across Guru Nanak. Somebody worded it so beautifully that don't ever say, I found Guru Nanak. Best way to look at it is that he just thought, this idiot is not going to think of me. So what I'm going to do is literally walk past him and say, hello, here I am. For some reason, Guru Nanak decided to just walk past us in our lives and say, hello. And we're like, all right, Nanak. And we've been fortunate that Guru Nanak chose to walk past us for us to have this path. And this path's for everyone, entire world, entire humanity. I just think this could take away so much mental health issues, so much pressure. Just sit there and just say, just sit there. Wow.
I think sometimes there are places where it's for me personally, I've seen where it sometimes feels a bit more easier to experience that wow. So, for example, I'll share one of my favorite places to go in this country is Malvern Hills. The reason why I like that is because once you get to the top and you look across, a lot of the land around is flat, meaning you can see quite far. I think that helps me appreciate that vastness that you were mentioning, and also the all different colors you get to see. There's green fields, yellow fields, brown fields, then there's the cows and sheep just scattered everywhere, and you just get to see the creation just there, just at play. And I think that's somewhere where it's a lot, I find it that I can experience that quite every time I go there. And I think it's about bringing that into day-to-day life as well. So even when I'm at home and just appreciating the smaller things. I think for a lot of that, I was kind of quiet. And I think looking back now, just while you were talking, I was almost in awe of this being here in this podcast and you speaking, if that makes sense.
I felt the same, because I felt the same receiving the Gurbani in that way, in this moment. And everything has to fall into place to experience that kirpa. The way you are sat there, the way you are receiving it, what's going on inside of you, your energy. It's so detailed, Vaheguru's makeup, his ways, everything, when it all lines up. And then something magic happens. That's called Karam Khand happens. We enter the place of kirpa inside of us. We go to that place. And then you have a moment of Sach and Va. Then, in that moment, and I was receiving Guru Nanak's Baani, like what you just said. In that moment, as I was going through it, it was reminding me I was going Va as I was feeling what Guru Nanak is giving us. So Sangaji, I don't want to say today, I don't want to say my normal, usual words of thank you for being part of this journey, what I would like to share today is just take a moment right now in this moment and experience just wow, like right now. Take that away from this body, this step that Maharaja wants us to place our foot on, because a body also means a step. Place your foot on the energy that Guru Nanak is giving us through this step and just say, Vah. I don't want to get stuck in my head. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole of just constantly trying to work it out. There's nothing to work out. This moment is everything. Just say Vaheguru in this moment. Be in Vaheguru. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, share and subscribe. Please donate and help spread Guruji's message. Link is in the description below. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.